Okay, welcome to the Lunenburg TCP Building Design Committee meeting. It is 5:34, and we'll open the meeting and I'll read some opening remarks. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. The town of Lunenburg, in response to COVID-19, is currently following the guidance from Lunenburg Board of Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus, and steps communities can take to prevent the spread, and all town facilities are currently open on a limited basis to the public. I believe they're actually open on a normal basis. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, all public meetings are being conducted, some public meetings are being conducted remotely. This is a carryover language, I apologize. This meeting will be recorded and be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link that was published in the agenda, or from a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter webinar ID 813-8946-6667 and then the pound sign. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. So it is, with that, we will call the meeting to order. And I'll start with a roll. Seeing as how we're back on full remote, I'll start with a roll call vote. A roll call just to make sure everybody is, we can hear everybody. David Blatt.
Present.
Matthew Allison.
I'm here.
Ryan Leighton.
Present.
And Dave Passios.
I'm here.
And myself are in the same location. All right, is there any public comments from the public? I don't see any public comment other than the Lunenburg Ledger, which they are welcome to comment, and I don't see anybody in the waiting room. So I will move on to any public comments from the board, from the committee. Go ahead, Brian.
So I guess it was more of a question. I noticed there wasn't anybody on taking minutes. Am I continuing that role today for today's meeting and taking minutes?
So I did send her the agenda. I did not hear back, but I also did say that that it was going to be recorded because we were doing it in Zoom, so she didn't necessarily have to attend.
Okay,
because it would be published on YouTube. So I think that we can safely, I haven't heard that she's not taking minutes, so I think we can assume that she will do it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Although I haven't heard from her, I haven't gotten any minutes yet from the one or two meetings that she's done. So I'll have to follow up with her and see what's going on with that. But I think we just assume she's doing it. Anybody else?
Yeah, just
Go ahead, Dave. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to, I don't know how much you guys have been following the different committees that have projects going on that need to go through town meeting, but there are a number of them that are now going to miss a special town meeting, and will probably be on the floor for annual town meeting in the spring. So when we're talking about our goals for either or, just keep in mind that spring town meeting is already starting to pile up with projects that had originally intended to be vetted and cleared at special town meeting.
Which ones are those, Dave?
The Board of Selectmen's deal with the property over here on School Street is probably not going to be ready for fall town meeting. There may be a portion of it, but there'll be a spillover into the spring town meeting. green communities. We don't affect town meeting all that much, but our next round of grant applications is going to be in the spring rather than the fall.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that are kind of not happening as quickly as committees had hoped. RFQ time periods are somewhat extended, so it's virtually impossible to start anything now and get it into the fall town meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I had heard that they didn't get any bidders on the old primary school one. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, what a surprise. Okay. Sorry, I said that out loud. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I got a little insider commentary on that because I forwarded the RFQ onto a landscape architect of mine, and I think it was just a concern with the budget, the amount of money that was available. So, but anyway,
Mhm.
anyways, all right. Anybody else? Okay. So our first agenda item this evening was to review the scope of work from DeGiorgio, but that was kind of a carryover from last week. But I'll just say that Heather has been working with them to try to add in some of the additional items that we commented on a month ago, face-to-face meetings and things like that. And has been going back and forth with them a little bit because I think that they gave us some some additional costs for that. And we of course don't have additional money to use for this. So it may be the case that we are stuck with just virtual, with them coming virtually. It didn't seem to make sense to spend thousands of extra dollars to have them come face to face if it really is going to cost them that much. So there's been a little bit of back and forth there. I talked to her yesterday. She was, I think, in the final throes of it, so to speak. So we should have something. If not already today, within the next couple of days. And I know the other thing I wanted to report on is that. So I think I've mentioned that Tom Lamb, who was our primary contact from DeGiorgio, is no longer with DeGiorgio. And so we had thought that Ed was going to kind of carry the torch. But as it turns out, this exercise that DeGiorgio is doing for us has nothing to do with Ed's subject matter of expertise, which is structural engineering. So Ed is not going to be our project lead. It's going to be some other guy from DeGiorgio. Heather has talked to him. And so there's going to be a little bit of, he's going to have to bring himself up to speed with things a little bit. But there's not really anything we can do about it, unfortunately. That's the way that's playing out. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an update on that front. I don't think anything else on that. So I thought what we do tonight. Last time we talked, we talked kind of briefly, I thought, about inputs that we wanted to give to them, to DeGiorgio as they started. So under the guise of planning for future study efforts, I thought we just kind of, we focus our time on that front, so that when they, when we get a contract, which I'm hoping is in the next day or so, or within a week, that we can update. I envision having a conference call, Heather and I having a conference call with the new point of contact, just to kind of kick things off, and we can give them some immediate inputs into our thought process. So things we talked about last time, I had my yellow dog here. Oh, look. Yeah. We talked about if we're going to go with a multi-floor situation, we talked about needing them to think through noise and buffering between floors and what makes the most, programmatically speaking, what makes the most sense from a, which use goes on which floor, to think that through. We talked about, and in that, guys, how the building flow will work. So what makes them, to just have, think through how the building flow works and users of the building and what makes sense for who's to go on which floor, that kind of thing. We talked through security. We talked about the issue of security where needing to still isolate certain uses from each other, public from school uses and that kind of thing. I have building orientation written down, which is sort of how it's orientated on the site. So, we have that kind of list going, but I thought we'd, if there were other, I thought we'd just have a discussion about that kind of, in that spirit to, so that we can be ready to go when we have a, when we have a contract signed. So I just kind of open it up for general discussion.
In the multi-story building, what's the perception of the noise generators other than the gym in everybody's mind? Is there any, other than traffic up and down stairs, what other noise generators are there going to be in the uses that we identified? I think that helps identify what needs to be away from what. And in my mind, other than the gym and maybe, soundproof the stairwells a little better than usual, I don't see a lot of disruption.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to get their take on I guess my knee-jerk reaction would be to say that the after-school programs might generate some noise, but then again, in a two-story school like the middle high school, I don't know that they have concerns over that. So that might not be an issue. I don't know.
Well, I don't think they've got programming above the gym. I think the gym is 2 stories in one area at the new high school, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the gym would have to be kind of a standalone. Gym would have to be kind of a standalone section, I would think, unless they had something over it, and I wouldn't think that would be a problem.
So the Lions Club has already gotten permission to use the patios now currently. And one of the big sells on that was that they had to climb stairs at the public safety building. So I would recommend that we look at putting them on the first floor. And then we've got all the town offices for all the residents going to them. They would probably want to be also on the first floor, but everything's going to have to be accessible anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about an elevator in this building. But yeah,
Right.
no, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
thought. The
so
line ones.
So, Mr. Chair, I almost thought the other way because of all the kids. Would you really want the kids trying to pile into an elevator or running around the staircases, during the mornings and during things like that? So I looked at it as more of the school functions being on the first floor with maybe some conference rooms, larger conference rooms. And then the second floor could be more conference rooms and maybe that's a second floor of school, and the third floor would be, for the town, giving Heather that corner office with the view, the beautiful views and things like that.
Yeah, I remember having some discussions about this a month ago, and then saying, I think I remember saying that, part of what we want them to do, we don't want them to reinvent the wheel with the programming, right? We want them to take what we've already done and square footages and things like that. But part of why we need an architect to do this task is because we want them to tell us what they think is the best idea. They're going to see the uses and they're going to say, all right, well, we think that this might have an impact. And I mean, I want to give them input, but
So
I don't know. We can, no, I can capture that. I mean, we don't necessarily have to agree either. I guess, I mean, it'd be nice to agree as a committee, but we could just present to them what our, sort of thought processes are, what our concerns are. And then, rely on them to make some recommendations.
Yeah, Greg, you think we'd be better off in giving them a list of our concerns rather than
Yeah,
where we think
yeah,
the uses should go and see what they come up with?
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I agree. I think you can come up with a lot of scenarios of different ways to do it. But ideally, it's scary that you want everything really accessible. You want the kids to be able to be there. You want all the offices to be accessible too, that people aren't climbing 3 stairs to get to an office either. They got to go see the clerk or whoever they have to see.
Thus the accessibility of a single-story building.
I know.
I had to get that in there.
So,
Okay, go
so,
ahead.
so something else I've been thinking about is we can have a multi-story building, but we could also have wings that maybe aren't. So maybe the school, all the school programming could be in its separate wing that's closer to the middle high school and potentially only a single story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe we could put parking above that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put your archive storage for padding between noise areas.
I also
Yeah, that's
look
a good point. Doesn't necessarily have to be all multi-story.
I worry too that we're getting too much into it too, because again, we're doing this for price comparison. So even if the town decides they want to do a new building, it's going to be a whole nother design on what they want to do.
Yeah,
Like Matthew said, it's like maybe it's a parking lot, maybe it's a garage too. So I
yeah,
don't
no,
think
you're
we
right.
should get
Yeah,
too much
yeah.
into it.
Yeah, you're right. But, just to get them a starting point at least. And what the committee's thinking, because they're gonna need that, we're gonna be asking them to hit the deck running, so. How about like, if you can envision the parking that we had programmed in with the TCP renovation project, so we had added some parking in the triangle, to 2 legs of the triangle. Basically, we had added some parking, and then we had a loop around the building. We had parking on the side closest to Kids Kingdom and the senior center. And then we had parking in that recycled asphalt product area there where we have where people park today, but we had thought about formalizing that. And I can't remember how many spaces. Anybody remember how many spaces? But I guess my question is, do we think that that's a good starting point? We should ask them, like, can you take this plan and try to plan in this number of spaces? I mean, that's my sense. Or do we want to tell them more, like, can you maximize the number of spaces? If we get some efficiency with building footprint, give us more parking. What's the thoughts on that?
So if I can, I would want to minimize the amount of spaces in the triangle. So just maybe making it so that there's handicapped, or say like 20-minute parking or something like that in the triangle. But if we're taking down a wing, we could probably utilize some of the pre-cut drives that are already in to make that an in and out for the parking lot, for a parking lot. So if as you're heading to the school, there's already pre-cuts where there's driveways already done, with this into the parking lot that's there. So try to utilize that space to make a parking lot.
Yeah.
As not necessarily needing to go now, having to go all the way around the building with a parking lot, with pavement.
Yeah, so I mean, it strikes me now that I'm thinking about this is that, so they're gonna be assuming that TCP is coming down and they're putting in a new building. So they're gonna be able to site that on the site, put that on the site wherever it makes sense. You see what I'm saying? So maybe I expand my question. So my question was really driving at, what do we want to give them for like a parking, like a quantity of parking? Do we want to say, use what we had in the previous iterate, in the TCP renovation project for that number of spaces? Or do we want to say maximize the parking space? So that's sort of two questions. But secondly, now that I've heard Dave say that, is do we want to give them any insight into where the parking would go? Like, now that the building can be put anywhere, right, on that site, would we prefer to have like a separate parking area, like sort of between the triangle and the building? Like, we move the building back, we put the parking in there? Or would we rather have it orientated the other way and have the parking on the side closest to the school? Or do we move it over and put the parking closest to the senior center?
But I think because of what you see in the school, when they need the overflow parking, I'd like to see it closest to the school. Because, then at least it gets used by both areas as well.
That makes sense to me.
And especially when now you can force people, like even if they were there for the soccer games or something like that, that they should be able to go park.
Yeah.
Right there and walk. If they can't walk that far, then, they have other issues, type of thing.
I think that makes sense. Parking, so we can give them the input that it would be nice to consolidate parking closest to existing users, like, the fields and the school.
Right, yeah. And it obviously need at least the same amount of spaces as we originally had planned, if not a few more. I mean, I don't think we have to go overboard with spaces.
Yeah, with the village center district, we'd have to have at least that many based on the uses.
Right.
Remember when we recalculated that, we thought we were way over, but then when you put the bylaw in effect, it brings it up over 150 spaces.
Yeah. All right. I'm writing.
Sorry, we can hear that.
So keep talking. I got to use the bathroom. Just round table it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, so I don't know, but not knowing what the building configuration is going to be like. Dave, I think I agree with you that you're going to want a small amount of parking. If you're going to orientate the building towards Route 2A, you're going to want probably not a lot more parking than we had originally planned, just for the in and out traffic, day-to-day traffic, but then concentrate your larger parking areas towards the schools, and it becomes multi-use, and you're going to have a substantial influx of vehicles that are going to be parked there all day, when they are, at least for the afternoon and evening, for the extended day programs and things like that. So that makes sense to me, that you're going to have transient traffic using the town offices. You're going to have town employees, school employees parking for the entire day. So that type of parking should be, I would assume, tied in with the major parking area towards the middle high school.
I guess my thought is I'm hoping there'll be an improvement in the parking too, because now it's actually going to be parking that's designed for the use of the building, rather than before it was really, we were almost trying to figure out the use of the building based off of what we had for parking.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And considering that there's the multitude of uses in the building, I would think it would be beneficial to have parking on all four sides, because there probably would be multiple entrances and exits. So like a separate, the long-term, like the employees and whatnot, parking a little bit further away separate, but all the people coming for short-term park closer.
Yeah, so like have parking near each major use group's access, yeah.
So the only concern with that is that how much blacktop we create. It's just because obviously that, as you get into more and more blacktop, it's the expense as well as the maintenance of that blacktop long-term.
Yeah, but I mean, a building like this, Dave, the fire department's going to want us to have circulation around the whole building anyway.
Okay, that's fine. As long as, if there's another reason, right? That type
Yeah.
of thing.
I mean,
Because, the more access doors you have, the more security you have to have with those doors. Well, everything kind of spirals too,
yeah,
as
but
well.
it's got to get better than what we have on T. I mean, we have so many access doors on TCP that
Yes,
I think Matt's right. I think the fire department's going to want to have a circular on a 2 or 3 story building.
They definitely will.
yeah,
They're going to want to be able to get around this thing and park a ladder truck anywhere they need to get access to the roof. And then it's easier to get. I mean, you don't have to have 50 spaces on every side. You might just, you might need 10 in one area so that, so that the people can, there's enough. We'll just have to look at that. I think that's good. That's good input.
Sure. But at the same time, to Dave's point, the fire access doesn't have to be paved. So
That's true too. Yeah.
I mean, we've got plenty of examples from recent development to look at, the large buildings down Tri-Town.
Yeah. So in that case, though, even you could still accommodate your point, Matt. I mean, I don't know. I think outside the box, you could have a couple of parking areas on those 2 back sides, not go all the way, and then just do a
Sure.
a loop. There's ways to do that. I think both comments are valid, I guess is what I'm saying.
and once again, it's how they lay out the building. Because if it turns out that most of the, if it's a kind of a straight building, you really only need 2 sides of parking, if you look at it, right? If it's one in the front, one in the back for employees, front for people who are just coming.
Well, we'll see how they, that's true. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It really depends on how they lay it out, I suppose, but
It's funny, I'm trying to look through the final report to figure out how many parking spaces there was, and I can't even find it just yet.
it's on the site plan.
Yeah, but then I have to count every single one of them. I looked at that.
Oh, they don't
Yeah.
summarize. There was a table.
summary somewhere.
There's a table on one of the site plans. I
I
think.
think
Yeah,
there's
it's-
over 157 spaces. but-
Right, it's talking about the pavements and things like that, the amount of pavement, but
Oh, really? Okay.
I'll find it.
I thought it did
if
a
I can.
parking table. All right.
It should have.
Okay.
No problem. I just thought it was humorous that you can't, now that we were asking about it, we can't find it.
All right. I should have asked first. Does anybody have any I know there's a parks meeting at 7. Anybody else have anything that they have to, I mean, I don't know that we're gonna go that late anyway, but anybody have to leave early or? No, okay. I mean, I don't have a whole lot other than what we talked about last time with to add in, but like I said, I think that we'll give them this, it'll get them going. They'll probably have more questions for us. And then we can field that. We can field those questions as they come to us.
I agree. I'm not sure how much we can get into.
Yeah, but that gives them a starting point at least. All right. All right.
I might have found it.
Find it.
Nah, don't worry about it. It's what was already there.
Okay, well,
No big deal.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure they have it somewhere. I just,
They'll have it. Yeah, they'll have it. All right, so we discussed last time about putting a placeholder on the agenda for discussion of proposed warrant articles. I don't think we need to do that right now, but I will keep that on the agenda so that we don't lose sight of needing to pen those.
Mhm.
I think that was Dave Passio's suggestion, so that's good.
Yeah, the warrant opened this past Tuesday and closes September 28th.
Okay, I want to write that down. So if I can. September 28th. So, yeah, so we need to have at least the what articles in the wording on the 28th. We don't necessarily have to have financial numbers, but we have to have the we have to have the language spelled out.
By
Okay,
the way, the answer is 125 to parking spaces.
okay,
Off by 2.
all right, it's good.
You can sleep at night. Yeah.
Okay, so I cannot honestly remember where we stand. Brian, did you send out some minutes a while back?
I did before that last meeting that got canceled. It was the sorry, the June 16th minutes. I sent it on August 7th, if you have your email up.
So the problem I'm having, I think I try to explain it, is my IT department at work screwed up, changed my email, and they deleted my Lunenburg Online account from my computer. So now all I can do is my phone, which is just not cutting it. Let me. What date was that, Brian?
August 7th was when I emailed it out again, and it was the meeting minutes for June 16th.
Okay, yeah, hold on. I will, let me get this on the screen. Bear with me. Okay, so does everybody have a copy of those? And
Yes, sir.
Do people feel, so I'm happy to entertain a motion, or if people need a few minutes to review them, I'm happy to do that too.
I'll get the motion on the floor. I read it when it came through, so I was good with it, so.
Okay,
I move we vote to approve the minutes of June, what was it? Sorry.
June 16th.
20, TC Passios meeting.
All right, I'll throw a second in there.
Okay, are there any discussions or comments? All right, I'll do a roll call vote. Dave Blatt,
Yes.
Matthew Allison,
I,
Brian Laitman,
Aye.
Dave Passios,
Aye.
and an aye for me. All right, cool. And I'll follow up with our new minutes clerk to figure out what the story is there. Okay. All right, does anybody have anything to share under the guise of correspondence to and from the committee? I have nothing other than what I shared earlier, that Heather is still working to finalize the contract, but I haven't received anything or had any notable discussions with anybody or anything, so. All right, future meeting schedule. Pull up a calendar here. So if we did the same schedule, we would be looking at September 8th, and September 22nd. That would be the second and fourth Wednesdays of September. Does anybody have any objections to that, or?
That works for me.
Okay,
no, but I would mention that we've only got 2 meetings before we have to submit for Fall Town.
yeah, so that agenda item will become important next meeting. All right, well, I think let's do that then. Let's do the 8th and the 22nd. If that's okay with everybody, same time. And I think let's just do a Zoom meeting. I think are these fine for everybody? I mean, this seems easy for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can share documents.
Works better for me.
All
I'm
right.
still at work.
Okay, all right. So we'll just do Zoom meetings. We'll just do Zoom meetings for September. And there may be a time when we want to do a in-person hybrid or something, but for now we'll do Zoom. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the I'm seeing a lot of towns, they were doing hybrid or in person. Now they're going back to Zoom. So we'll see what happens with things anyways through the fall. So.
All right. Mr. Chair, just a quick thing, since we have hopefully got a minute or two, this was a quick one, but do we want to talk a little bit about what those articles, I assume we'll have an article. Are we looking at 2 articles, 3 articles?
Yeah, we can have a conversation on that.
Just because I figured it'll get us at least thinking of things before the next meeting, type of thing. So I say, we obviously have an article regarding this new proposal of, or is this is this more of a fact finding that we said no on this thing?
We talked about this generally a month ago, and I'm having trouble.
Yeah, same.
I almost think that what we said was we do an update article, which will present what the committee's been doing, and will present this, hopefully this cost.
Okay.
And then we do a funding article for the renovation article, that, the funding article for the cost that we developed last year that didn't quite come together, and for the spring.
Okay. And
So
do we
that-
need
so that-
I don't assume we need an article about, the next step type of thing.
Well,
But,
no, I think that would be the funding article, right?
okay.
To see if the town will vote to appropriate or borrow or whatever, $20 million for the renovation of TCP.
Right.
So I guess, and believe me, this isn't a final answer, but I guess the way my brain's thinking is we first do an update article. We tell them where we've come in the last 6 months since annual town meeting. We hopefully present this cost, right? So then they have that data point, and then we ask them to vote on the funding of the, we have to, in my view, and I think I've said this at least a couple times, we're obligated to bring that article to the town floor. That's what our charge is. So we have to do that. So to me, it's just a matter of when. I think now we're kind of stuck. We can't do that if we don't have this cost, this work done, because we told them that we feel like we need this in order for them to be able to make an educated decision. So if something happens with the schedule this fall, we're going to have to punt. But I think that we're putting ourselves in a position to have this cost, present it, and then present the funding article. That's the way I see it.
But you're gonna have 2 funding numbers potentially.
Well, I don't
They're
think,
gonna have to accept one proposal or the other, then they can vote on funding.
So I'm hesitant about that. I think that in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're not going to have a funding article for a new building. That the new building would have to have a more in-depth design process to go
That's right.
through.
I think that's what we said. So here's what I think. I think there's actually 3 articles.
Okay.
So I think what we have is we have one, which is an update article. Okay, I'm writing this down, which tells them what we've done, tells them what this cost is. If we rip down TCP and we build a new building, it's roughly going to cost this much, right? Whatever. Then we vote, we do a funding article for the construction dollars to actually physically build the renovation of TCP. Okay, so that's the funding for, construction funding. So big dollars that will require, debt exclusion or something like that, and a subsequent town vote, right? Ballot vote.
Uh-huh.
But we have that article. And then we have an article, if that one fails, we have a third article that says to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate funds to do design development drafting for a new town hall. Because this $54,000 that we're spending is not going to give us enough money to put together a funding article to construct a new town hall.
Right.
It's just going to give us a better than napkin sketch construction estimate. So we would have to do something on the magnitude of a 200 and something $1,000 scope of work like we did last time to come up with enough information and to have enough, all the different things that we need to, drawings and things, in order to be able to come to the town for a formal construction number. So I think that's what we talked about last time, and that seems to make sense in my brain. And if they vote affirmatively on the funding article number 2, then we pass over number 3.
Yes, if for some reason the 12 people still there are going to vote yes on $20 million, you're saying? Okay. So,
Right. Well,
okay.
yeah, but I mean,
But you
I-
also gotta look at the other side of this coin, and that is the numbers that we just talked about. Article 3 brings us up to that magic $500,000 number that I've been talking about now for over a year, that we spent trying to, for design and development of the middle high school.
right.
Right.
You got to spend money to get it right, but we're approaching those same types of numbers.
Yeah.
Just in the design cost.
So when people see the warrant, they'll have, they'll see the 3 articles. They'll see, they'll be able to see if it's going to be another $265,000 to do the same level of work, to get it. So to Dave's point, people just might get sick. I mean, there will be a sentiment in town that how much more are we going to study this thing? Let's just do something. Gonna be interesting. I don't know. There's support for this, but it's not overwhelming. That's my
Yes.
view.
So does the 3rd article then become an article of what it would be to develop the plans for a new building?
So I think before the end of September, or before town meeting, we need to have Heather and I, or Heather has to get a proposal. I mean, maybe we need to go out on an RFP. I don't know. We have to talk to Heather on that, but we need to have a number of what it's going to be, what we need to appropriate to do the same level of work that we did to advance this process that we're doing now, this $54,000, to advance this to the same level of detail that we did for the renovation.
Okay, the plans that we got from DeGiorgio for the renovation, that was something that we could take to a contractor and say, here, build this. Is that the level of plans we're expecting for this
No,
funding?
it's not,
Or
they're
do-
not construction documents, but it's enough detail for us to be able to go to the town and say, we need 20 million, whatever it is. I can't remember what it is. I'm rounding up. Whatever they said, we need you to appropriate this in order for us to build this.
No, I understand what you're saying, Greg, but what my feeling is that 3rd article being something that says, this is the amount of funds it will take to have something that we can go with and start building. Because in other words, trying to make it more definitive as to the level of the plans that we're going to have, whether it's construction documents, because the last thing I want to do is to have something where we get to a certain point, and then you say, okay, now we need another 100K to make those construction documents.
Okay, so
So in other words, I'm looking at it as if they said no to the renovation. Now we're saying, okay, do you want to build new? This is what it's going to cost us to get to the point of building new for that 3rd article. And
well, I think in practice, Dave, what happens is you get, I mean, I know this might seem frustrating for those of us who are in the private arena,
yeah,
but on public projects like this that have public funding, you have to spend a good chunk of change to get to what's called design development, which is what we did for the renovation project.
right.
They're not construction documents, but they're advanced enough that they can come up in the consultants, the architects have done enough work so they can give you the dollar number that you need to go and get for construction dollars from the town. And then when you do that, when you get that number includes soft costs to advance the design development drawings to construction drawings. And then so when you get, you don't get construction drawings until you've already gotten funding from the town for construction.
Okay, no, thank you. I understand what you're saying.
So I
That-
think,
yeah.
I think we'd be asking them for the same thing that they approved a year and a half or 2 years ago. We'd be asking them to see if the town will vote to appropriate, I'll just use the same number. I think it's $265,000 to get to design development and a cost estimate for construction of a new town hall.
Right.
And so, and then if in 6 months or a year, we get that done, I know sounds ridiculous because it's taking forever, but if within 6 months or a year, we get that number, we bring that funding article together and they vote that in, then we have the construction dollars and advance those plans to construction level and we can bid it.
Okay, all right.
That's the way-
That helps me.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I
the
wasn't
way-
sure of the process.
That's the way to my knowledge, that's the way all the construction jobs in town has gone. And that's sort of my experience with how these type of public projects roll.
Okay,
And I mean, I think we can talk more about this. I mean, I think we've maybe nailed down an outline form, a 3-article outline form. I think that there might be a larger discussion that needs to happen on Article 3, because if we build a new town hall, are we building a town hall and a community center? Or are we just building a town hall? And if we're just going to build a town hall, are we building it on the TCP site or are we building it on some other site? You see what I mean? There might be other.
yes.
A lot of
Yes.
complexities.
So, but we have it in outline form. I mean, perhaps it behooves us to, I wish Michael Ray was here. But I mean, that's going to be a larger discussion that we probably need to have with the select board. We can't get past our scope.
Right.
But
Well, that's why I worry it's almost like a new committee that's gonna have to take this over after.
yeah, so to that
Third article
respect,
passes if it passes.
yeah, so with that respect, we need to be careful. I mean, I guess we'll just say out loud here in this meeting for those people that would be watching this, that we are mindful that we don't want to overstep our committee bounds. And so we'll just say out loud that I think that particularly on the 3rd article, we'll have to confer with our select board on that to make sure that we're not overstepping the charge that the town has given us and their understanding of it as well as
Yeah,
ours.
I guess I would just add in, it kind of reminds me of the original article, like there may be needing language in there that says there's going to be a committee formed,
It could be.
just like we created the committee last time.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And so it may not be,
Us.
it might not be our committee that commissions that 3rd article. Yeah, it might be the select board that does that. So, I mean, we could suggest it. I mean, we're all citizens.
Mhm.
But it may need to procedurally, that article may need to come from the select board. And the select board may decide that that's not proper, and I don't know. Well, we'll have to think that, we'll have to work that through.
I think what we've just discussed about the costs of the additional cost beyond number 3 on town meeting 4, the numbers are going to need to be out there. Because we, again, like Dave even mentioned it, you don't want to tell them we're going to spend, number one, the frustration of continuing to spend big bucks on design and development. And then, okay, you pass that, then we go 6 months, get a new plan, and then boom, we got another article asking for more money. In my eyes, it would be the funding money for the complete build, but there would be some design and development money costs in there also, because you're going to reconfigure, you're going to get down to the nitty gritty of what's going to be where in the building and so on and so forth. So again, as you guys said before, we'll go through the entire process again for a new design building as we've just completed.
Mhm.
I personally just want to see something happen. I'm on the fence of, I'm not so sure I want to continue to spend money.
Well,
Agree. Well, I mean, obviously, the town keeps talking about continuing to spend money. So, I'd like to be the one committee that actually came to to success. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Dave, I don't want to get too deep into it, but, and I haven't had a chance to follow that link that you sent about green communities, opportunities and renovations. But are there some substantial opportunities in a renovation of this type?
Yes, actually, I'll send this to everybody in the committee. There was a seminar put on by Mass Save or Mass Energy, whatever it was, and in there was a presentation on funding or things you can do that the state will do to help you to make a building more green, as well as other cost savings. Like for the schools, the deal is that if they agree to have certain days that they would shut off the AC, this Mass Save gives them triple the money back of what they would have spent for that day in energy savings. Now, granted, it works well if you have a school that's not being used, but I guess it's a little tough if you try in the middle of the summer when it's 96 degrees out to tell the kids, oh, sorry, no AC today. But anyway, I'll send that to you guys. It's interesting, and it talks about the size of the building and the different things you can do with it as well.
all right.
I'm good for now.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to shut off that discussion prematurely, but it sounds like we have a good outline. What I'll do, I wrote a note. I'm gonna give, I'll give at least Heather a call, or if not, the chairman of the select board, and just talk over procedurally how we might proceed on that front. Maybe they want us to do come to their meeting at some point in September or something. So I'll talk that through and see what we want to do. Okay,
I'm good.
all right. Okay, we did future meeting schedule. I think we're at the end. Is there any last public comments from the well, I'll say from the public. I don't see any public though.
They're all too busy. They're all too busy trying to get onto that Zoom link that you were mentioning on Zoom.
Yeah, that I mentioned in the remarks of the public hearing that you'd have to be on the meeting to hear it.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh no, it's funny.
It is funny, yeah. So are there any last minute comments from any members of the committee? Okay, all right. So I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
by Dave. All right. Roll call vote. Dave Blatt,
Yes.
Matt Allison,
Aye.
Brian Leighton,
Aye.
Dave Passios,
Aye.
and an aye for me. All right, everybody.
Everyone, good night.
Enjoy the rest of the summer.
You as well. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, guys.